it is, the Megane RS's replacement. It's a Mini Cooper JCW F56. It's not standard, it has some DervTech exhaust I've had done to it, so it's about 290 horsepower. I'll give you all the details in a moment. But the main and best part about this car is it's a 6-speed manual. One of the things I really like about this car is its styling. I think it's quite cool, quite quirky. I think it's quite purposeful. It's got a smattering of JCW badges all over and little red accents here and here. And that just makes it look quite a bit more butch. But there's loads of different variants and loads of fantastic colours. This one's in British Racing Green. It's got some really nice details too. You've got a quite cool little uplift spoiler. You've got some Union Jack tail lights and the twin centre exhausts. I love that they kept that. It's been much easier to have a standard one piece or two exhaust. I love the centre exhaust. And all this plastic, it doesn't really work, it's fake, but it looks pretty good. I think one of its best angles is actually the side view. The reason being is you've got really short overhangs, front and back. It looks proper staunch and short and aggressive. So this one is an LCI model, so it does come with the gloss black surrounds, the full one-piece LED lights, which are your indicators and your DLLs, which I'll show you now. Hopefully it'll do it. There you go, so that's quite cool. Again, full LED lights. You do have fake vents being 2020, so that's fake, it doesn't do anything. However, I don't think it detracts from what really is really good looking front end and quite purposeful. I love the extra aggressive details on the lower part of the grille here. So let's get out in it, we'll drive it, see what it's like performance wise, talk a bit about what it's like being like to live with it, and tell you what I like and don't like. So being just 1,295 kilos, you do find that even the standard 228 horsepower and 320 Nm makes it a fun, quick, little eager car to drive. The fact that this has been to DervTech now and had stage 1 remap done, so that's no hardware, just software, this shoots up to 290 horsepower and a whopping 460 Nm of torque. So it's a little rocket ship now, it really is. It feels totally different from when I bought it. Not that it felt slow then. It's a quick car. I would actually put money on the fact that this is actually a quicker car to drive on the road now than my old Megane RS265, and that wasn't a slouch. In any gear now, it just feels more eager. In fact, on the way from driving it back from being done, I kept thinking I was in the wrong gear. I kept going, oh, I'm in 4th, not 6th. And that's how much better it feels. The mid-range of poke it has now is at a different level to where it was. And it wasn't a slow car at the factory. At the standard 228 horsepower it had, it still felt much quicker than that. Traction light flashing. Traction light flashing in 3rd gear. Then you can notice that, but it blips the revs itself when you go down the gears. I prefer to heel and toe brake, but it's cool that it has the feature and it's a nice little quirky extra to have. Handling wise, as I said, it's got its limits. The biggest downside is low limit slip differential. The other thing is the run flat tyres. Why manufacturers put run flat tyres on it annoys the life out of me. Just put a puncture repair kit in the car for God's sake, have some decent tyres. The ride quality is naff with run flats. Suspension, as you can probably tell, is quite firm. It's a bit choppy. A higher speed and weirdly, it irons it out a lot better, so it's not unusable. But if you're doing lots of town driving and stuff on little bumpy roads, it might become a bit irritating. The seats are fantastic quality, comfy, supportive. This one's got heated seats as well, so it's nice for the winter. Steering feels nice and sharp, and it feels nice and eager to turn in, so you get plenty of support and comfort. Honestly, you could do a long journey in this quite comfortably, and I think day to day, again, unless you're doing lots of town driving, I don't think it would bother you. I think you'd be quite happy in here. The interior feels high quality, actually. That's one thing I will give it, one thing I will say. It's typically Germanic. Everything works, everything's easy to hand and reach, everything does what you expect it to do. There's some really cool little quirks with the infotainment system. So this has got something called, you'll love the name, the MINI Excitement Pack. And what that basically means is it has a surround colour around the radio stereo, and it will copy things like your parking sensors, when you turn the heaters up and down, when you turn the volume up and down the radio, it does that. It also has like a 25 million colour mood light. You can change all the settings, the light up and the door handles and stuff as well. I'm not really that bothered about stuff like that. I tend to just set it to one colour, like in this case blue, and just leave it like that forever, so I don't really need 100 different choices. What else? You've got different driver modes. I mean, you're just going to drive it in sport all the time, aren't you? Let's be honest. But it does have different drive modes. It's got sport, mid and green. So they do what they say on the tin. Don't need to explain that to you. Sound system's pretty good too. Again, like most German brands now, they're very based on options. You can get a basic one, but this has got the Harman Kardon audio, which is a really good system, to be fair. It's also got quite a few lovely extras, which a lot of the ones I looked at didn't have. So it's got the XL nav screen, which means you get a big screen side to side. It's got Apple CarPlay, which is wireless, and it has a wireless charger in here. Weirdly, when I first bought it, it didn't come as full screen Apple CarPlay. So you got half the screen was Apple CarPlay, and then the other half just said it's connected to Apple CarPlay. Awful. So I went to see Gareth at BMW Tech Services. I'll put his details in the link below. He, no problem, got his laptop out, did some wizardry, and now it's full Apple CarPlay. He also updated to the latest iOS or whatever setting they call it, so it's the more modern screens like on the newer ones, the LCI 2 models, which is nice to have. This one also has electric folding wing mirrors that do work on the key, and you can again decode that to do it on one press rather than press and hold. It's got cruise control, it's got voice control, it's got auto lights and wipers, it's got parking camera as well as front and rear sensors, and it's also got park assist, so it will park for you. I don't see the point in that. 9 times out of 10 probably just going to back it into a curb and damage the wheel itself anyway. Why? But yeah, pretty cool little car, I think, and the quality is really good inside. Does everything you'd expect it to, really. When just driving it normally, it does settle down into quite a nice rhythm. Again, it's smooth, it's comfortable, the visibility's good, it's pretty quiet, which is a good thing and a bad thing depending on what type of driving you're doing. The biggest frustration for me as a normal day-to-day driver is the boot. The boot is really small. So I recently went away with a family, got a 6-year-old and a dog, obviously a wife. The boot was hard to squash everything in, and we don't take a huge amount, a case each and a few little bits and bobs, and it was brimmed. You can do it, you just need to pack quite carefully, but I'd imagine if I was going away for a longer period, like a week or two, it just wouldn't be sufficient. I'd just take one of my other cars which has got a bigger boot. There is sadly one other thing that I really don't like about it, and I don't know if you can hear it. You know, let's try. Yeah, fake sound through the speakers. So the engine sounds piped through the speakers, and it sounds very fake, synthesized, digital, and awful. Luckily, you can code that off. I've actually got software to do that myself, so I will do it at some point. I just haven't had a chance yet, but that'll make a nice big difference. Otherwise, engine sound, it's a strange one. You do get little whistles and turbo flutters and stuff at certain RPM, so it does sound quite good from the front end. And when you're low speed and you're just pulling off and you've got the windows down, you can hear the exhaust with a few pops and bangs and variables, and it sounds quite pleasant. The problem is, as soon as you get up and going a bit faster, you just don't hear it at all. It sounds pretty quiet then, you just hear this awful amplified fake sound driven through the speakers. But again, the pace it's got is brilliant, so you can leave it in a lower gear as you expect. Like third gear now, we're at like 1500 RPM. And it's off. So when you look at those type of moments, you think, do you know what? It's just really fun. as I said, it feels faster than it actually is because it's just so eager to go. At any RPM you put your foot down, it feels like a 290, 300 horsepower car, even when it's standard. So now it just feels a bit more pokey, a bit faster. But yeah, it's opened my eyes because I've never really been a Mini. I wouldn't say a Mini lover because I like them and respected them, like what they are, but I've never really wanted one. And I would have always picked something like the Megane over the Mini. But honestly, now I've had this, I don't think I'd have the Megane. I think I'd pick this over the Megane. I mean, it does help. It's a much more modern car. So you've got like wireless Apple CarPlay, LED lights, stuff like that, which are nice to have on modern stuff. But even that aside, I still think I'd pick this. It feels more eager, more fun. It's cracking. I do have one complaint about the manual gearbox though, which is weirdly not actually the manual gearbox, but it makes it more obvious. Rev hang. This car feels like it is screaming out for a lightweight flywheel. Rev hang's awful, so you'll be coming down the gears, you'll be, from being quite high RPM, you put the clutch in and you just feel and see the RPM hanging. It doesn't drop back, so I don't know if you can hear it where we're stationary. Listen. How long it's coming to slow down. Doesn't matter if you put it straight into a low gear and you're quite quick, but if you leave the clutch in for a moment for any reason, you just feel awful rev hang. It's not pleasant.